You have planned the perfect evening. You have accounted for every variable, anticipated every response, constructed contingency for every possible failure mode. And now, hours before execution, you feel not satisfaction, but dread. Dread that your planning has eliminated spontaneity, that your anticipation has replaced presence, that your overthinking has transformed celebration into examination. This is the trap that consumes you, not the failure to plan, but the planning that prevents participation, the thinking that replaces feeling, the preparation that ensures the event cannot surprise, because surprise has been systematically eliminated. By the end of this video, you will understand why your overthinking isn't about control, but about fear, why your perfect plan guarantees disappointment, and how to escape the paralysis that makes Valentine's Day feel like performance review rather than celebration. The architecture of overthinking is defense. You believe you are optimizing experience, maximizing possibility, ensuring success through thorough preparation. What you are actually doing is protecting yourself from exposure to uncertainty, to improvisation, to the possibility that you will be required to respond to what you cannot predict. Your planning creates illusion of control in situation that fundamentally resists control. The encounter with other person whose responses you cannot script, whose desires you cannot fully know, whose participation in your plan remains voluntary and mysterious. Consider what overthinking produces: not confidence, but anxiety; not readiness, but exhaustion; not security, but hypervigilance. Each scenario planned generates new scenarios to plan. Each variable controlled reveals variables uncontrolled. Each contingency prepared suggests contingencies unprepared. The work of overthinking expands to fill available time and then exceeds it, leaving you tired before event begins, distracted during its occurrence, disappointed by its failure to match plan that planning itself made impossible. What you call preparation is actually avoidance. Avoidance of present moment where feeling happens. Avoidance of partner's unpredictability that relationship requires. Avoidance of your own improvisational capacity that overthinking denies. You plan because planning feels like action without risk, like engagement without exposure, like love's demonstration without love's vulnerability. This feeling is illusion. Planning is not action. Preparation is not participation. Thinking about love is not loving. The specific content of your overthinking reveals its defensive function. You do not overthink what feels secure. You overthink what threatens. Threatens with evaluation, with comparison, with revelation of inadequacy that relationship's ordinary conduct protects against. Valentine's Day concentrates these threats through its explicit demand for love's demonstration, its cultural scripting of what demonstration should look like, its visibility that makes failure observable by others. Your overthinking is accurate response to perceived danger. The danger is real, but response is maladaptive, producing not safety but paralysis, not success but exhaustion that ensures failure. What your partner experiences is not your plan, but your absence. Absence of presence, of spontaneity, of responsiveness to what actually occurs rather than what you anticipated. They encounter person executing script rather than participating in relationship, performing preparation rather than building connection, managing anxiety rather than sharing experience. This encounter is lonely for them, and their loneliness produces a response that your plan didn't anticipate, generating new anxiety that new overthinking attempts to address, creating a cycle that event cannot break because event is its expression. The couples who navigate this successfully have discovered what few acknowledge. Overthinking cannot be eliminated by more thinking. It requires intervention at level of body rather than mind, commitment to action rather than preparation, willingness to be surprised rather than protected from surprise. They have developed capacity to recognize overthinking's onset, the physical tension, the mental acceleration, the narrowing of focus that planning produces, and to interrupt it through movement, through speech, through decision that cuts the spiral rather than continuing it. What you can do right now, abandon one element of your plan, not all. 1. Choose element that feels most essential and release it to improvisation, to partner's contribution, to chance that you have been attempting to eliminate. This abandonment feels like failure of preparation. It is actually restoration of relationship, acknowledgement that you are two people building experience together, rather than one person constructing experience for other to receive. The terror of this abandonment is terror of exposure, exposure to partners' unpredictability, to your own improvisational limits, to the possibility that the event will not match the ideal that overthinking attempted to realize. This terror is accurate, exposure is real, but exposure is also where connection happens, where relationship becomes actual rather than planned, where love is practiced rather than performed. Your overthinking today is information. It tells you that you feel threatened, that you doubt your adequacy, that you fear partner's evaluation more than you trust partner's acceptance. This information is a gift that allows recognition of defensive pattern, that makes possible choice against pattern, that transforms Valentine's Day into examination of your planning capacity, into exploration of your relational presence. What you build through imperfect participation tonight is more valuable than what you would execute through perfect planning, because it is shared, because it is discovered, because it is yours together rather than yours alone for their evaluation. The mistakes that occur become material for mutual laughter rather than evidence of individual failure. The surprises become opportunities for responsiveness rather than deviations from script. The evening becomes relationship rather than performance. Your plan will not be executed. This is not loss. This is liberation. Liberation into what actually happens when two people encounter each other with intention but without script, with care but without control, with hope but without guarantee. This liberation is what overthinking prevents and what love requires. The work of tonight is not successful execution, it is successful presence, being there, being responsive, being willing to be surprised by what emerges when your plan releases its grip. This presence cannot be planned, it can only be chosen, moment by moment, when overthinking spiral is recognized and interrupted. What you remember tonight will not be whether plan was executed. It will be whether you were present, whether your partner encountered you or your preparation, whether you encountered them or your anxiety about their response, whether together you built something that planning couldn't provide. Experience of being together without script, of choosing each other without guarantee, of loving in real time rather than performing love's simulation. This is the escape from overthinking, not better planning, but willingness to plan less, not more preparation, but courage to participate unprepared, not elimination of anxiety, but action despite anxiety. The courage is available, the choice is yours, the relationship awaits your presence more than your perfection.